Hey folks, the Comics Kid 2099 here, and like I do most of the time, I'm here to talk about an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I'll be talking about the Batman the Animated Series episode Second Chance. If you haven't seen the episode and you don't want to be spoiled, go watch it real quick, or if you don't care about spoilers, I'm about to sum up the episode before I get into the review itself, so make your choice quickly. Two-Face is being prepped for a clandestine nighttime surgery where his Two-Face half will be removed from body and soul. But things go wrong when some masked thugs kidnap him. Batman and Robin suspect it's either Penguin or Rupert Thorne, as both men have grudges against Two-Face. But twist ending, Two-Face is actually responsible for the kidnapping, as he doesn't want good Harvey to erase evil Two-Face. Two-Face is defeated by Batman and brought back to Arkham. Cue credits. I gotta be honest, seeing the title Second Chance, once again, I thought we were gonna get an episode that sees a villain attempting to reform, but circumstances are against him, forcing him to remain a villain, like Birds of a Feather, and what I thought Riddler's reform would be. And even though I like those episodes, like I said in my Riddler's reform review, I don't want these episodes to keep repeating the same formula from past episodes. But fortunately for me, this episode is charting new territory for this series, while also managing to borrow quite a bit from the comics and other Two-Face stories. One of the doctors says that Two-Face has been doing better about making his own choices without having to rely on his coin as much. This reminds me of Two-Face from Grant Morrison and Dave McKean's Arkham Asylum, who is also being weaned off his coin. And then there's the idea of Two-Face undergoing surgery to restore his good looks, which we sort of saw in The Dark Knight Returns, as well as Hush, which came out after this episode. And I think there were a few pre-Crisis on Infinite Earth stories that had Harvey cured of his Two-Face persona as well. And then you've got Two-Face almost falling to his death because he can't do anything without his coin, which is sort of similar to Batman Forever, where Two-Face did fall to his death trying to grab his coin. I won't go so far as to say that importing so many small ideas from the comics makes this episode instantly good, but it's nice to see them going to the source material every once in a while, especially if they can take all of those separate elements and forge them into a really neat story. Now sure, the reveal that Two-Face is behind the kidnapping isn't all that shocking. I saw it coming pretty early in the episode, but if you'll recall, the ability to predict a mystery does not make the mystery bad. I'd much rather have a mystery have an element of predictability than be so convoluted and out there just to prevent audiences from guessing who done it. Even though the mystery aspect of who kidnapped Harvey might be pretty easy to see through, what this episode does have going for it is some great character stuff between Robin and Batman. Speaking of this episode borrowing heavily from the comic books, this episode gives us a little bit of tension between these two, which we hardly ever got to see in the series, but which we see quite often in the comic books. This is good to see now because pretty soon we're going to be doing a time jump where Robin left Batman to become his own man. So it's good to see at least one episode of Batman and Robin having disagreements with each other to set up that story later on. Well, 2 episodes if you count Robin's Reckoning. But what's great about the tensions between these two in this episode is that it makes sense and doesn't feel too forced, since we haven't seen that much disagreements from them up to this point. Batman would be pretty terse because his former friend's life and sanity is on the line, and Robin would feel like he's being ignored and underappreciated because, let's be honest, he is, so the both of them getting a tad upset works great, but it doesn't take up too much of the episode, which is also great. Speaking of great character stuff, I love the idea of Two-Face turning on Harvey in such an overt way. Usually we just see him arguing with himself and letting the coin decide, but this is probably the most outward any of their disagreements have ever gotten, and it's neat to see the dichotomy of this character displayed in such a different way. And also, I love the way Batman tries to get Harvey to stop using the coin at the end of the episode with the trick coin. And even though Two-Face isn't redeemed at the end, as he chose not to let Batman save him, he does make a choice when he drops the coin, so it's a neat example of the villain's character changing somewhat, but not to the point of being unusable as a villain because of his actions here. There's really nothing about this episode that I hated, if I'm being honest. I like the character stuff, I like the comic book references, and I like the back and forth between Batman and Robin in this episode. But what did you guys think? Like it? Hate it? Let me know in the comments below. And what did you think of my review? If you liked it, you're in luck because I do videos like this every Saturday. Next weekend, I'll be talking about an episode of Batman Beyond, and the week after, I'll be covering another episode of Batman the Animated Series. And throughout the week, I also do other videos, so be sure to check those out as well. If you did like this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in the future. Have a great rest of the day.